Okay, guys, sorry about that. My friend mentioned Xinhua and the CCP, then you're gonna get disconnected. I'm actually gonna be defending them here in a little bit, but give me 1 second. I gotta fill up my tea. I'll be right back. Ugh. Okay. All right, I am back. Ugh. Again, this is part two, and I'm talking about this article that I think has been greatly misreported in the Western media. So I put it into different translators. I put it into, like I said, if I give this to 10 um, Chinese people, I get 10 different interpretations of what it says because there's no direct translation from Chinese to English. It's more about translating ideas and concepts. There are some vocabulary that does translate, but it can be a little difficult, as those who study Chinese know. So I put it into Bing to Baidu. Didn't really do a good job. It was very difficult to read. Same thing happened in Google, but Bing kind of turned out something. So this is a Bing translator, and it's talking about the different states that have declared emergencies as the outbreak in the U.S. Pneumonia is getting worse. Trump also continues to come out blowing out American people not to panic. Talks about the stock market plummeting, and Mr. Trump immediately said he would take some measures to control the new pneumonia and said that China has made great progress. You can see Starbucks reopening in China. Apple has fully resumed production in China. That's true. Starbucks have reopened. I think many of them are still takeout only, and at least in my city. I haven't gone to Starbucks in a while, but I have a video coming out tonight of some activity that I did. I drove around some of the factories here. I went to the mall. I had a coffee at a coffee shop. So you're going to start to see. You're going to release that video tonight, so you can see what life is like here now. It changes every time I go out, basically. As far as Apple fully resuming production in China, now remember we're going to talk about supply chains and things like this, and that's a whole argument that we can do another live stream about because there are some good arguments for that, but I don't think it's as simple and cut and dry as stopping production here and starting production there. It is a hugely complicated issue with global ramifications, and it's much more complex than people realize. And this Apple thing, Foxconn is not a mainland Chinese company; it's a Taiwanese company, and it's an assembly plant with components from Japan, from Korea, from America, all over the world that assembles it in China. It's a global supply chain. So it's not materials. All these raw materials come into the plant, and you get a finished product on the other side. That's indicative of many supply chains and production throughout the world. So it's not so cut and dry. Uh, it's clear that Trump's remarks were heartfelt. U.S. stock markets plummeted. Yes, it's very, very crazy to see that happening. And they actually, I think the other day, they put in $500 billion into the stock market, and it disappeared in 1 hour. Gone. So they're throwing money left and right at all different kinds of things. And when they're going to give $1 trillion to people, which is actually a pretty good idea, putting money into the hands of people, I think that's an actual good idea. But the problem is, even if you give, I think it was like $4,000 to every man, woman, and child in America through $1.5 trillion spending bill. I don't know how much it was exactly. Let's say it was that. Where are they going to spend it if the country is forcing the closure of restaurants and entertainment facilities, and shops? They're going to have all this money to pay their rent, but it's not going to stimulate the economy. There's no velocity of capital out there. Consumer confidence is going to be very low, and the damage done by all of this, by the media and politicians, is going to take months. Even after the coronavirus is completely gone, it's going to take a very long time to recover from the damage that has already been done. And you see that happening in China. It's a great thing to watch. China, and watch South Korea too. I think they're going to be great indicators of what is in the future for America's economy. These practices in the United States are... in fact, the U.S. government has also announced restrictions on the entry of foreigners from Chinese and China, effectively by indirectly declaring a travel ban on China, leaving the rest of the world in isolation situation against China, which has a big economic impact on China. I'm not for outright travel bans. That's something I disagree with completely, but that's me. These, and you can disagree with me all you want. I believe there's smart ways to do that. But if you outlaw travel bans, it causes a huge amount of stress on different aspects of society that most people don't even think about. These practices in the United States are very unkind, can be said to be the downfall while people are sick and killed, and now China's new corona pneumonia outbreak has been brought under control. In addition to Wuhan, other places to new confirmed cases of single digits, but the United States of America's new corona pneumonia outbreak is getting worse. It's already been really bad in the United States, but you're starting to see the testing, so people are identifying how bad it is in America, but they still don't know. And China is not back to normal. They're still on lockdown in many, many places. But what they've done is they've learned, and they're being more surgical in their responses, which is a good thing, I think. But they're definitely still on high alert everywhere you go. Things are not back to normal here. They're very worried now about bringing the virus from other countries, as they should be. They've done so much sacrifice and so much work to get to the point where they are now. They don't want to retrench and go backwards. So I get that. And they're doing it smartly by anybody coming into this province has to go into quarantine. That makes sense. That makes complete sense. And I have no problem with the U.S. doing that too. 14-day quarantine. Anyone coming in from outside going 14-day quarantine. That's fine. I'm fine with that. Here's the controversial part. The reporting is that China is threatening America, and by stopping or putting a ban on all medications being exported to America in retaliation as a threat to them, and that they will be caught in a sea of coronavirus or something. That's not actually what it says. It says if China retaliates against the U.S. at this point, and in addition to announcing a travel ban on the U.S., it has announced strategic controls on medical products and a ban on U.S. exports. The U.S. will be caught in a sea. It's saying if China did that, it would announce strategic controls on medical products. And then it continues, according to CC officials, most of the U.S. masks are made in China and imported from China. We're talking about PPE, personal protection equipment. These are masks. There's still a shortage of this stuff in China. They've got 1.4 billion people, and there's only so much production capacity that they have. So they're saying that if the rest of the world doesn't get their act together, and things continue, China will be forced to maintain a strategic control of their capacity to take care of their people. You can call it an if as a thinly veiled threat, fine. I think it's but you have to read the whole thing to really get the context of what he's talking about here. Because then he goes and he says, we have not done this and we don't want to do. That's what he says. We have not done these things and we don't want to do these things, Now, the argument about the medications is true. Medications... many of the medications are produced here in China and throughout the world. Everyone knows that, but China didn't steal this production. These are for-profit pharmaceutical companies throughout the world who saw dollar signs and wanted to maximize shareholder damn it. My brain is on fire. Shareholder value, thank you. By seeing lower cost of production in China, so they sent it to you. Chuan, I just realized who you are. I'm sorry, dude. Yes, you're the one who sent it to me. I'm sorry, brother. I don't know why I didn't realize who you are, man. But anyways, that's what it's saying. It could be a thinly veiled threat, but this is one editorial in a newspaper. How many thinly veiled threats are there exchanged between all countries at all times, especially between the United States and America? It's stupid, it's pointless, it's childish, is what this is. So that's my interpretation of this. At the very end, it says, however, there's great love in the world. Chinese people and the Chinese government have never done so, did not fall into the United States, not to ban masks and drugs exported to the United States. With China's new corona pneumonia epidemic gradually controlled, China's masks, drugs exports capacity will be greatly enhanced. And the United States is on the demand side of that. So I see this as them saying, look, it would be very easy for us to do that. You can interpret that as a thinly veiled threat, but what they're saying is we don't want to do that. We want to increase our capacity. Now, capacity has been lowered and there have been shortages on medications, but that's a result of real world things on the ground here when the factories aren't up and running at capacity. I don't think the government is purposely doing that to hurt people. I really don't see that as an issue, as the issue, guys. That's just me. Yeah, you're right, brother. Okay, so I'm going to call uh, someone very close to me right after this and discuss this with them and tell them to stop watching Fox News. that's all I can say about that. So, okay, enough of that. Let's talk about good things. Okay, so you're talking about imported cases, latest entry guide to Baiyun Airport. Baiyun Airport is the Guangzhou International Airport. And Guangdong reported 3 new cases in Guangzhou yesterday, people who travel from the UK, France, and the Philippines, respectively. How to complete the entry process, Guangzhou Baiyun Airport. Look this up online. I'm not going to go through it, but what it shows, this is from Guangdong Today. So newsguangdong.com. There are many other news sources in China other than Xinhua or Global Times or China Daily. There are tons of them, and many of them are in English. And so you need to get a good sense. I actually enjoy these. I enjoy reading all of them, actually, because some of them are kind of funny. But here, this is a good one because it talks about how old they are. This is a French male. This is case number 1 who lived in Panyu district. He returned from China and France, was later tested positive after arriving in Guangzhou. This is the second imported case. And other ones will report the actual flight number that they were on and what time they were at the transfer desk and what bus station he got out of. Another one, 26-year-old male, returned to Fujian province from the Philippines, entering China through Baiyun International Airport. And here you go. Took this flight. Swab test sample sent to the 8th. So China's doing a very good job of monitoring and tracking these people, where they are, and then informing the public, just in case if you were on this flight, you're going to get a phone call. If you were, in this area when this person was there, it's got the times and everything. So they're doing a good job of informing the public about these things. Says here in Guangdong, of the 49 patients still in the hospital, there are 4 mild cases, 30 normal cases, 3 severe cases, and 12 critical cases. That's throughout the entire province of Guangdong, the population of 150 million. But we are all still on some kind of lockdown. Many of us are, and the businesses aren't open, guys. There are some businesses, restaurants are being allowed to be open, but movie theaters, one of the hiking trails was closed off. We couldn't even go hiking at that particular trail. We found another trail to hike at, but things are far from back to normal here. So it says how to complete the entry process, and it just goes through all of this, and you can find that on your own if you're coming in to buy. I'm not going to go through it, but they put these things into place, and now everybody is getting tested as they come in, or being monitored as they come. I don't know if they're actually being tested. Maybe they are, but Chinese university builds makeshift open air canteen with 300 tables. Now, my college is not open, and they don't know when they're going to open. In fact, many of the people here expect the schools to be closed through the end of the term, and they're just going to basically, not open the schools for the rest of the term, just to be on the safe side, I guess. So that's kind of what I've gotten messages from some teachers who their contracts have been canceled, and they don't know what the legal, their titles of the salary. I don't know. I don't even think it's worth fighting over. If your contract is being canceled, probably go, find another job. There's plenty of jobs out there. The demand seems to be still high for this. But look at this. It's all outdoor. A Chinese university has moved 300 dining tables outside and required students to eat al fresco to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. This is, where is this? In Hunan, I think. Yeah, this is in Hunan University of Technology. And you can see that's quite a sight. The weather is getting warmer as well, so we set these tables out for students who wish to eat outdoors. So the outdoor canteen can serve up to 1,200 students at the same time. I just think the photos are amazing. Outdoor dining is just one of the options, and when the weather is nice. Restaurants and canteens around China have launched a one-person-per-table policy to prevent the spread of coronavirus, and citizens started to leave their homes and go back to work. A noodle shop seen taping up table seats to stop the customers from sitting next to each other in Nanning, Guangxi province in southern China. I've seen this here in Zhongshan too. I saw this at a Modeli bakery, actually. It doesn't look very nice, but I think it's better to do this out of safety concerns. Yeah, so this is fine. They're not closing their doors completely, but they are taking extra precautions. I support that. What are you guys talking about? Cheeky? Do you know anything about China tech of hydroponic systems? I've read it's a big thing now. Trying to ask CCP unrelated questions. By the way, China is main production of antibiotics for the rest of the world. Yeah. I know a guy here who manufactures fully automatic hydroponic systems for growing weed. The hydro industry as well is quite sophisticated. I actually have a student from Xiaolan who sells hydroponic equipment. They manufacture it in Foshan. Yeah, but you're right. That's not the purpose that they sell it for. They sell it for growing tomatoes. China tightens border quarantine against infectious diseases. I told you guys this would happen weeks ago. If you wanted to come back to China, to come back then. Now, if you come back to China, you're going to go through a lot of... This is from Xinhua. You're going to go through a lot of processes to get through the borders. And it's not just the airports, but the land borders, too. Basically, anticipate being stuck in quarantine for 14 days. Okay. By the way, do not lie on these health declaration forms. If you do, if you lie and you get caught, you go to jail. And I do support that as well. Okay. So those are my friends in Guangdong. I'm not all doom and gloom today, guys. And this is kind of a format that I'd like to do in future live streams. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. But here is from Guangdong today. March 11, Guangzhou announced plans to build a pedestrian bridge across the border connecting the east bank of Ersha Island and the Canton Tower. So this is it right here. This is in Zhejiang New Town. This is the center of the financial district in Guangzhou. I've been here many times. This here is kind of an open air amphitheater that was built for I think it was for the Asian World Games. I can't remember. But if you're over here on this side, this is like a giant mall. This is the Guangzhou Opera House. You have the Guangdong Museum, Guangzhou Library. This is a really interesting part. Lots of things to see and hang out and do here. And, of course, they got the tallest buildings here as well. And some very, very nice hotels. And this is an area that I like to hang out when I'm in Guangzhou, to be honest. We got good restaurants, international vibe. But this Canton Tower here is a major tourist attraction. Now, to get currently from here to here, you either have to get on the subway and take it underneath, or you have to take a ferry across. So I support this pedestrian bridge here because that ferry is always busy, and especially during rush hour, that subway can be gnarly, and it's not too scenic. So I like this idea of building a pedestrian bridge. Now they got this one here, maybe this design here, or this design here. I kind of like the first one. I think it's very striking. What do you guys think? One, two, or three? And we don't always have to talk about doom and gloom and bad things. We can talk about good things too, hopefully. Okay. Now, here's something that I'm going to be watching soon. China, this is from That's Guangzhou. Remember, these are other media sources here in China. There's hundreds, if not thousands of them throughout China. It's not just all quote-unquote state-run media that you can read. You can get information from many, many sources. Wow, is it going to rain today, guys? It's like dark and gloomy out there. Trying to forge ahead with the Canton Fair amid the pandemic. Now, this is, a week ago. Things might change, especially as they put the quarantine measures in for anyone coming into Guangdong. Now, I have never been to the Canton Fair. I have many students who rely on this for their businesses, and so I'm curious about it. Now, this year, obviously, it's going to be smaller. You're going to have a lot less of an international presence there, so I think there'll be a lot less investment and time put in by businesses at the Canton Fair this year, but I still think it would be interesting. So I want to register and go, and it's going to be in mid-April. I think it's April 15th. I can't remember the actual date. It's in mid-April. So I'm not doing anything else, so I'd like to go up here and take a look around and check it out. I think it would be interesting. So that might be a video for me to do in the future. Okay. So that's all I have to talk about. I'm sorry I had to put this into 2 videos. That's been common. I can get maybe half hour to 45 minutes on one video, and I'll do another half hour to 45 minutes on another. So I've been breaking up these live streams. Now in the future, I want to do this more of a recorded type of video that I can send out maybe once or twice a week. But in live streams, I love this OBS system I finally got to work. I hope you guys liked it too, and I think it just gives a little bit more interaction. You can actually see what I'm talking about. Instead of me just reading the articles off my phone, you can actually see it. Let's go to some comments real quick, and then I'll go into something else I want to talk about. I don't understand how Canton Fair will work. Anyone who comes will need to do 2. Exactly. I don't understand how that's going to work either, dude. We'll find out. I do want to point out a lot of people have been talking about an increased amount of xenophobia towards foreigners throughout China. A lot of YouTubers are talking about this. Man, it got dark. It's not raining, but it's like nighttime outside. Sorry, I hope you guys can still see me. I'll say something about this. I have felt it too. My friends have heard stories and have felt it themselves. There's definitely a growing mistrust for foreigners because we are the ones supposedly who are bringing the viruses back into the country. And so now all foreigners are suspicious. And in my circle of friends, amongst my Chinese friends, they obviously don't believe that, and they're very apologetic if any of us have been mistreated. And it's just a few bad apples out there that are that are maybe misinformed or not educated on the situation. It's similar. It definitely is not indicative of how the entire society feels towards foreigners. And in my city, when I talked about this with my friend yesterday in depth. I feel that Zhongshan is a very foreigner-friendly city for the most part, and I'm very, very content and happy living here. There are some new policies. When you do go out, you have to scan an app, and that will, fill out a bunch of information on this app to determine if you are a safe individual, where have you traveled to and from. But this app is only designed for Chinese citizens, because in order to do it, you need a Chinese ID card. Well, foreigners, we don't have a Chinese ID card or a number, so we are unable to properly, operate this app to gain entry into a mall or a park or a community, or go through a roadblock. And that has caused a lot of problems, as you've seen from many YouTubers who are struggling to live their daily lives and just go to the supermarket, and they're not being allowed into the supermarket because they're unable to fill out this app. This problem has been forwarded to the governments. I don't know if they're going to do anything. They know that the problem exists. But in the meantime, there are workarounds. Now, if you saw my video about... oh, by the way, I was in the town yesterday, and I went to the supermarket, and they didn't ask for it. Went to a restaurant and a coffee shop yesterday. They didn't ask for it. So it's kind of a hit or miss. There's some places that are requiring it, and some places are not. There was one restaurant I went to a couple of days ago for lunch, and they would not let me dine inside because I wasn't able to show them or track where I was. And, that's not necessarily xenophobia directed towards me, but it's them following the rules that they've been given to follow. So there's a workaround. If you saw my video that I did about the eco farm that I went to last week, I went through a roadblock on the west side of Zhongshan where I had to scan a QR code, and it showed on my phone all the places I've gone. I got that QR code sent to me from someone here in the community, and that is kind of a workaround. It's just scan a QR code, and it basically just shows security all the different places that your phone has been to, and that should suffice for you getting into certain places if you are having that issue. So there are hopefully workarounds for this. I'm sorry, I'm blowing up my messages here. Yeah, I'm funny. All you guys that are in my live stream, you're sending me messages on my phone, but you're right. It's insanely dark out there. Okay, real quick. Face to face, there is nothing out of the ordinary, but online things are pretty ugly on the I agree. Some of the xenophobic things I've read that have been sent to me are insanely disgusting. Especially towards black people. And that's unfortunate, but that's online, and there's tons of trolls out there. But here in Zhongshan, I feel like face to face, we're still treated the same. But when we walk around, there's really no way of letting people know, hey, look, we've stayed here in China this whole time. We have not left. We have fought this with you guys. Not that. The problem is that some foreigners in general don't like China's rules and regulations, always trying to find the loopholes. That's not only a foreigner thing, that's a local thing. Locals, as we all know, love to find loopholes. Yeah, it's insane how dark it is outside right now. It's 9:30 in the morning, and it's almost as if there's a total eclipse of the sun right now. There's no rain, but man, it's not what we're talking about. Okay, enough of all that. I want to fill you guys in on me real quick. I'm still not working. I am looking for things to do. I looked at online teaching, but the tax issues with online teaching are not favorable for where I live and how I want to work. I don't want to pay self-employment taxes on, $14, $15 an hour to teach. And I don't like teaching online anyway. So I'm looking at other things to do. I'm looking at improving my channels, putting out more content on my channel, trying to grow my channel. I'd like to do a website here as well. Uh, so if you guys, I'd like to also like do some affiliate marketing, see different ways I can monetize. Because the coronavirus videos are all demonetized, I went from making about $10 a month on YouTube to about $4 a month. It is what it is. But that's okay. It's fine. I don't do YouTube for the money. Maybe someday I could. That would be kind of a dream, right? But until then, no. I have 3 videos that I'm currently making. I'm going to release one today, which is going to be kind of a boring video. I'm going to finish editing it today, and I'll release it tonight in China. It is about, I drove around some of the factory areas and kind of said, okay, this one's closed, this one's not looking. The same areas that I've done in previous videos. Walked around the town, and I'll throw in an extra one for each one that I think you would enjoy. I also went to the Zhongshan film Backlot Studios, which is, I've been there once before, but it was an interesting experience to walk around a movie set. Essentially, it's 4 different countries. Tokyo, it was Japan, it was China, London, and America. And it's just interesting to see. It was a nice little day out, and then I went picking fruit. You guys might like it. I don't know. This is what we do to stay sane, because there's really nothing else to do. And then yesterday, I got to go hiking with a buddy. We explored a new trail that I discovered out in Nanlong, and that was a great hike. Probably one of the best hikes I've done in China. Not in China, but one of the best hikes I've done in Zhongshan. And it was awesome. And I did it with a buddy of mine who's also an English teacher here. And I interviewed him a little bit, got to pick his brain and about different topics. So look forward to that coming out as well. And then I will continue to do more live streams and talk about... here comes the rain. Yeah, it's raining now where I'm at. So I'll continue to do more live streams like this and other content as it comes up. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody for allowing me to rant a little bit this morning. I'm exhausted. I'm going to cook an omelet and then watch a very boring movie as I listen to the rain fall outside. With that being said, thank you everybody, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.